Thanks for joining us for the Changing the Industry podcast, where we try to effectuate change for the better, one conversation at a time. Part of that change is providing help for those that need it. This is why we've partnered with the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence. Whether it's help with sales, operations, or just getting your numbers in order, these folks are some of the very best in the industry. And for our listeners, they'll sit down with you and go over your strengths, your weaknesses, and the opportunities that are in front of you. They'll create a customized plan for how to move forward, absolutely free. That's right, free. And if your plan includes one-on-one coaching, they can also help you with that. There's no hard sales pitch, no obligation, just honest help from honest people. So if that's something that you think could benefit you, make sure you click on the link in the show notes. And now, on to the show. We were both first class coming out here. And, dude, I've got a bad back. And so the reason I fly first class is because I'm a big dude. I don't really fit in even a premium economy seat.
So you don't like Spirit Airlines either?
No. Or Frontier.
What a joke.
And so like the seats have gotten tighter and tighter and tighter. And so
It's not what they say. They say more leg room. 11% more leg room.
They lied.
And they say we're getting wider and wider and wider.
Yeah. Well, so here's the situation is that like it was either it.
He just said it's because you're getting fat, dude.
Well, I know. I could have told you that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like there's only so much I can do about it.
There we go.
The problem is my legs are too long. It's not that I'm too necessarily wide for the seat. Now the two people sitting next to me, they were too wide for the seat. That was super uncomfortable because I was in the middle. And I can even deal with that. Like I don't have a problem with that. This dude takes his leg and he puts it over on my side underneath the seat. And so like now the one thing the doctors told me I cannot do is she said, look, you cannot sit with your knees above your hips. You have to sit with your knees below your hips or you are going to be in tremendous pain. It's going to cause you to lock up. You can't do that. You have to keep your, and so this entire flight, I was sitting crunched up like I was sitting on the toilet, right, man? It's terrible.
Squatty potty.
Yeah,
Do you squatty potty?
Oh, man.
Do you squatty potty?
Those things are
Or
pretty
do you
cool.
you sit down and you lay the legs out like that?
The squatty potty.
Is it a tall toilet or a short toilet?
It's a tall toilet, but
Then you're not. Well, I guess maybe
You're not
tall for
eliminating
you.
as you should.
yeah.
No. I'm saying like your legs aren't. Your legs are going to be like you got to prop yourself up. I mean, at least I do with a tall toilet.
We gave away squatty potties for Christmas gifts one year.
Really?
Freaking hysterical.
Did your staff appreciate that?
Oh, they thought that was it was a gag gift. You know,
Oh, I got it.
that thing made it around
All
the
my
room.
gifts are gag gifts.
Yeah, what you should have said is all your gifts are a joke.
However you want to phrase it.
Nice.
You just gave poor old Nick a wonderful joke or a gift there in the last podcast. And like I could see you.
This is all going to come out over weeks. Like
I'm just saying it.
Nobody's going to understand the reference.
I didn't say they would understand the reference. He has a technician. Well, had a technician.
Had a technician. You know, I sent you the list of things that people hate about podcasts, and inside jokes was on the list.
Well, you're the one who made the inside joke. Maybe people just hate you.
They didn't say me.
And you know, I think, on the list. I think with the inside joke thing, it's the familiarity factor. Podcasts are relatively new. We don't know the nuances. I don't know his life story. Like your AM radio guy,
you
grew up with that guy, right? I mean, you knew everything about that guy. So if he gave an innuendo, you knew about that because it happened to him in 1978.
The popularity of everybody having a podcast, I think, is relatively new. It was 2020. Everybody started a podcast in 2020. Podcasting's been around for 15 years, 20 years now.
But
now everybody's got a podcast.
That's why I did radio, because there's like, who is going to go look at a podcast right now? It's like, okay, I can start it, but I'm like, they still were paying me to do terrestrial radio. So it's like, okay, as long as you're paying me. That's it. We're good.
You do radio?
I did. Stopped a couple. That's 2020. That's what, I did a 10-year tour of duty.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
what kind of was it?
NorCal Auto Talk.
Oh, okay. Was it call-in?
Yeah, we took some callers. We of course pre-screened them after we got a couple of tinfoil hat guys with Chevy Vegas. Oh, man, there's I should get you some classic calls and send them to you because you would just pee yourself laughing. They're so funny.
Oh, dude.
What? Like,
that Nick from Brisbane, how you doing? Hey, Bill. Oh, man, I listen to you every week, man. I can't tell you how many times you've bailed me out, man. It's like, hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Okay. Now, my 82 citation, right? I'm like, you're feeling the lifeblood just oozing out of you. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Nick. Yeah, I changed the distributor. Okay. And then I changed the spark plugs. Okay. What are you trying to solve, Nick? Well, it just doesn't have the power it used to have. All right. And I'm like, Nick, you know what you need to do? Well, what's that, Bill? I said, YouTube, Bubba Cooter. You need to go find Bubba Cooter. They're down there in Alabama. They know. Is
that a thing? I'm looking at you because you said Bubba. I just assumed.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks.
I
coined, you talk about inside joke. I coined the phrase, anybody that was on YouTube at that time doing automotive, I called them Bubba Cooter. Because they always had a good drawl, and they're always from down south somewhere where they had more time and beer than they had common sense.
Okay.
And they fixed stuff that you're like, why did you even bother? So the 82 citation, oh yeah, we could turbocharge that thing right now.
That's right. Well, that could run good.
Pull them heads off there, we get them ported out. Oh my gosh, we could get ourselves 185 horsepower.
190.
That's good for a citation.
Exactly.
So you're from. Introduce yourself. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Bill Adams from Adams Auto Works in California.
We're in California.
San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay.
Yeah, we got 3 shops.
So it's conceivable that a citation's still driving around and.
Oh, you of course, and it probably only had 50,000 miles on it.
Oh well, there you go.
I mean, we see stuff.
They would rust it out in my.
Of course. Oh yeah, and we wish they would. But we've priced ourselves out of most of in our shops where it's like you've got a what? Oh, good for you. I got a place you can take that to.
Right. We just talked about that with Cecil.
We recommend people that we don't like, and we give them their number.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So we have. I don't do that. We don't work on anything older than 99. So if they come in with a 97 or an 87, they're still around. Mm-hmm. There's a shop that used to be my neighbor. He's not going to do a DVI. He didn't have a process.
Right.
He fixes what's broken, and he's scale. He used to have a much bigger shop, but so he's got an old Sun lab scope machine in the corner.
Yeah.
He doesn't do scan tools. He has them, but he doesn't do them.
It's not what he plays with. Yeah, I get it.
And so that's who I send. He's a great guy. Pretty good mechanic, great guy. So 87 El Camino that you need somebody. Hey folks, David here. Before I opened my repair shop, I used to sell parts for a living. And it's always been important for me to be able to not just find the right part, but the best part for my customers' vehicles in stock and at the right price. Which is why I became obsessed with PartsTech.com. With PartsTech, I'm able to search an unlimited number of vendors for parts and tires, and with one click, I'm able to order from every single one of them at the same time. What's more, all the information then gets conveniently transferred into my shop management system. So if you haven't experienced that level of convenience and efficiency for yourself, head on over to partstech.com/podcast, and you'll be able to sign up for free today. That's partstech.com/podcast.
We take the trust of our listeners very seriously, and I hope that you know that when I say that Shop-Ware is the best automotive shop management system, I believe it in my heart of hearts. And now it's even better. With new features like Tech App, it streamlines the inspection and dispatching process for you and your technicians. And with massive improvements to Shop-Ware's exclusive digital vehicle experience, they have stepped their game up to a whole new level. So if you haven't scheduled a demo yet, click the link in the show notes and do it today. If you've already had a demo and you were waiting to finally switch, there has never been a better time. So click that link and get started today.
To work on, that's who I send him to.
You bet.
Love the guy to death. But he'll work on that 87 El Camino. I will not touch that 87.
There's no reason. Yeah. If you're doing any sort of production repair, there's no way. If you want to, if you're running a shop.
Yeah. And I just,
if you got a hobby shop or you got a job and you like to fix that old stuff, hey, God bless you.
Right.
But
yeah, but he's he's to the point where he's got the overhead is turning the lights on.
Yeah.
In the space. And that's
Great.
it.
And that's what he likes to do.
He doesn't buy equipment. He's got a couple of guys that work for him, but I mean, he everything's paid for at this point. He's not buying anything new. He's not investing in technology and training and all that nonsense. What he's doing is he's tinkering, and he makes pretty good money. He probably pulls in $100,000 a year.
Yeah, we've got 2 local shops, right? And one of them, he handles all the old stuff like that. That's what he wants to do. That's what they want to work on. They work on a little bit of everything, but that's what they're focused on. And then we've got another shop that handles the performance side of it. So the guys who want to build a car, and I just send those things right on down the way.
And that's great, because I always try and teach my team, we don't say no.
Yeah.
They're calling us because we're Nordstrom.
Yeah.
They're calling us because they got a problem and they found out we're the best. Okay. And usually in our neck of the woods, they have that old car because they got it from Grandpa. And Grandpa went to be with Jesus.
Right.
And they had a bus pass before that. And they don't have 2 nickels to rub together. It's not like if you had an 87 car back where you're from, that's because you had it in the garage.
Exactly.
It's a whole different animal. Out where we're at, well, Grandpa had it, and can I drive it? Or I got Grandma's 88 Toyota Camry.
Right.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only got 387,000 miles on it. But it's in great shape. Grandma took good care of it. And you're like, great, I got a shop for you.
Right.
Are you looking to drive this as an A car every day? Well, yeah. What'd you drive before? Well, I'd like to know if I can get this running. So you know that they need a ultra budget shop. So we know a couple ultra budget shops. Like you're right, no DVI. Yeah, very few tools. They will. Yeah, you got a blown upper hose.
In the Bay Area, is ultra budget mean? What does that even look like?
Under $150,000 a year. Yeah.
In
income
for the owner, but they're doing $1.5 million.
No, I'm talking.
They have to charge $300 an hour. I'm asking if they're like on the DL, like, hey, you have to ask for Bob. You got to knock 6 times, and then he'll take you to his backyard.
There are shops behind my A shop, my big shop. Uh-huh. We got a guy back there. He runs a chop shop. And it's in the back of a little industrial complex, and he has no street signage. And you got to know somebody
to come in. Yeah,
he's back there. He'll whatever you want to do. Yeah. There's no there's no Bureau of Automotive Repair license. There's no insurance. There's no nothing.
Yeah,
right.
And he probably has a spider tattoo on his somewhere.
How would you know?
I see what rolls in and out there sometimes. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Well, so. Tell us a little bit about you, right? A lot of our listeners don't know you. Tell us a little bit about you.
Are we recording?
We've been recording.
Oh,
We've never
excellent.
Not recording.
Excellent. I grew up in the automotive. The speeches. I grew up in the automotive industry. Yeah. I was literally born into it. My dad was a Vietnam vet, and when Mom said the rabbit died, he had to get a job because he was a corpsman in the Marines, and he can't quite support a family. So. Yeah. He came from Pennsylvania, out in the oil. He worked in the oil rigs before he came out here to California, and then he decided to get a job. He started fixing Volkswagens and Porsches back in the '60s.
Really?
And then he started, buying gas stations, fixing cars. And I remember 8 years old, pumping gas in the old gas station, and we were at 82nd and MacArthur in Oakland, California. And for those of you that don't know, that's the hood. So I am the boy from the hood, made good, and. I grew up in the business at 18 years old. I had worked as a mechanic, before we even knew what it was called, a service writer, because I knew how to talk and I could actually tell the people what's wrong with their car. And I was the 18-year-old punk kid that would interpret what the mean mechanics would say, and help Mrs. Jones understand how to fix her old Buick.
Yeah,
and that we did great. Had a little 3-bay gas station. We were freaking killing it. And at 18 years old, I swore that I would never come back to the family business, as a lot of 18-year-old young men full of themselves do. And at 30-something, I got a call from my dad saying, hey, you want to buy the business? And I went, oh, heck no.
Right.
I had a good tour of duty with, I was Sears Tire Group. I was their national training director for a bit. Did a lot of fun things in the automotive industry. I worked for another major tire concern. And it's like, okay, so I'm going to go back to the gas station.
Yeah.
So I went up, took a look at it. And, you know, I had 3 kids and I was traveling all over the country and okay, you know what? Time to settle down a little bit. So I ended up buying it in 2002 and we had a good run there. We ended up 6 years ago. We moved from that location after we had bought and sold a couple other shops. Went from a 3-base place that was our killer shop. You know, we were doing, we're doing $1.5 million, $1.6 million.
Yeah.
Remember Cecil would come in here. He goes, I have no idea how you do this out of this poop hole. And I don't even think he used the word poop, but we did. We had a team of 5 and we just freaking killed it. Had a ball. And then we moved and got ourselves a real shop. Yeah. I mean, the only spot in this town, in California, you hear it is the PRC, the People's Republic of California. Whatever you hear about it, it is.
David loves the PRC.
It is true, and I have pictures. It's a whole different animal. So I'm one of the few people that are left because everybody that had common sense and money left. And I figured, okay, well, I'll stick around here and turn off the lights. But we bought this beautiful shop that was the only good shop in our town.
Okay.
And I'd want this shop since I was forever. I mean, I grew up in this town. Like, one day I had to go down. I said, hey, old owner, I said, I'm looking for a new place to play. You know anybody that wants out? And he goes, and a hand comes up real slow. And I went, you ready to retire? And he goes, yeah. I went, okay. 90 days later, we moved in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Completely. And this place was built in 1947. No original paint, no original nothing. The internet was dial-up.
Yeah.
Only 6 years ago. Okay. I mean,
holy cow.
Okay. All data was still on CDs. It was really a picture. And they were killing it. I mean, they were doing 7 bays. They were doing a solid 750,000. There were 4 technicians, and I'm like, how do you guys freaking eat?
I know, right?
I'm like, oh. So my team were like, okay. And we interviewed their team, and it's like, hey guys, I got good news and bad news. Good news is we're going to grandfather you all in. We'd love to have you. That'll give us a team of 6. Got our office. We got service writer. Got me. Got a person that we call it the estimator that writes up all our stuff for us. And they're like, okay. So what's the bad news is you got to be here at 8:00 to start work. Mm-hmm. Oh, and we're going to expect if I'm going to pay you for 40 hours, you're going to have to produce at least 40 hours.
Yeah.
2 of them quit right there. So it was like, okay, all right. Because, cool. I mean, they'd never done more than 25, 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
Ever. At least in everything that I saw. So I was like, okay, all right. So we went in there with a team of 4 and started looking for people. And our first year there, we did just like 2.6, 2.7.
Okay.
And we grew it up. We ended up buying another building next door to it and added more space to it, built a really beautiful office, kind of like what Cecil's doing here in this place.
Yeah.
And so we had a dealership quality customer reception lounge. In the month before we opened that place, we completely gutted it. I found a contractor, a buddy of mine from church. I said, hey, I need you to pull off the impossible. He goes, what? And I took him down. I said, I need you to strip it, gut it, rewire it, plumb it for electricity, run the electricity, lights, floors, and then we got to put internet in. And he goes, and so what, 3, 4, 5 months? I said, a week. He said, what's the budget? And I gave it to him in a paper bag, and he goes, Sunday morning, my CFO and I, we walked in there, and our pastor come down. He says, let me pray for you guys. I said, oh, Lord.
Right.
Monday morning, 5:30, we clicked on the lights, praying that the internet would come on, praying that the computers would turn on, praying that all this would work. It did. We got into the day. I didn't replace any racks because they had these Nussbaum racks. I'm like, okay, German Nussbaum, good stuff, yeah. Had an old FMC alignment rack that was a little sketch. I'm like, where'd you find that thing? 1970. What?
Right, yeah, that's been years.
Oh, the CRT, the cathode ray tube had to flicker and then come on. I was like, okay, that's got to go. Week 1, out of the 7 lifts, 3 of them snapped with cars on them.
Holy cow.
Just broke. And their cars are sitting there going, they're all laying there. And everybody that's ever had that happen, you're like,
yeah.
It's an oh crap moment. Imagine 3 of that in the first week you're open. Oh, and then the alignment rack gets stuck. with a car on it on one jack.
Holy cow.
And go try and find a FMC repair manual.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We had to do some mechanicing that day. And we finally got that thing down. So yeah, in the first couple months, we ended up replacing all the racks. New alignment rack came in there. It was we really rocked and rolled. And a couple years into that store was really moving and grooving. We wanted to grow the business, have a Cecil. Great Cecil story since we're sitting in this building. When I get in this building, Cecil, I remember the first time I heard him. I used to do consulting, used to do training back in my unwashed youth. Mm-hmm. First time I heard him was probably 2001, 2. I think he just really started out as he just moved out of Larry's Auto Repair.
Yeah.
Knew who he was, kind of a local legend. Heard him do his first training gig, and I walked up to him. I said, who are you, and how did you steal all my stuff? And of course, Cecil, what are you talking about?
Right.
I said, I used to train this. I said, this is my gig.
Yeah.
And he's like, huh. So started our friendship.
Right.
So he was the only guy that I knew in the industry that could kick me hard enough.
Yeah.
And hold me accountable enough and squeeze me enough to make me move.
Yeah.
So when we walked into this place, I'm like, oh, poop. Because, I spent dollars that I didn't have. I leveraged everything I had because I had to move my shop. I had to save my team. I didn't want to lose my team. I was I was like, screw it. I'm all in. Let's go. I was like, okay, I can go back and do consulting work. I had other options, but I didn't want to let it go.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I called Cecil. I said, all right, get your fat butt out here. And he came out and he looks at it. He goes, okay. All right. And a month later, he sent me a 100-page manual.
Right. How to run the shop.
How to fix the shop. And I knew what I was going to read. I already knew. Yeah. And I looked at it. I got to page 4, and I literally threw it across the room and just, smashed. And my number 2, she looks at me and she goes, that bad? I went, I just walked out. Came back about an hour later. I picked it up. I said, give me a month. He goes, a month? He goes, takes people a year. I said, give me a month.
Right. What was on page 4 that pissed you off?
It was just all the stuff that we've heard about for years on how to get your process procedures in place, how to sell properly, how the look, texture, and feel of your shops have to be if you're going to truly be successful and make this a business and not a job. There's a process.
Absolutely.
And those of us that run the process, guess what? We have businesses.
Yep.
Those of us that don't have crappy jobs.
Absolutely.
That we delude ourselves into thinking they're businesses.
Yep.
So, and that's the Cecil process. He goes through how it looks, who our service advisors are, how they're talking, how our technicians are, what's our DVI process. And that time it was, brand new kind of.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those guys that actually wrote the original red, yellow, green motorist assurance program stuff 25 years ago.
Yeah.
When that first came out, so I was like, I knew this stuff, but I was like, I was so freaked out about opening up this big old monster shop
that you weren't.
He's like, big thing he told me was, you can't fail. He said, if you fail, you're cooked. You are way over your freaking skis. He scared the living crap out of me, and he kicked me so hard. And I'm like, all right. A month later, we had that boat on plane, and we haven't looked back. And now we've got 3 stores. We're looking at a couple more.
Right.
We're talking with folks all over the country on how to do this a little bit better.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm talking to a lot of guys in our industry right now that are in their sunset.
Yeah.
The group that made it through COVID are a tough group because there are a lot of them that said, I'm done. And they just quit.
Right.
I picked up a shop in 2000.
Can you do that? You just quit, walk away?
I'm sure you could.
Yeah. And you know what else those guys do now in the morning? Welcome to Walmart.
That would be the perfect job for
That's
David.
not bad.
I
don't know if they're welcome to Walmart, but welcome to Costco. I love you.
Yeah, that's different because I remember one time it was right when we opened this store, and I was freaked out. I mean, 5 kids, big house. I couldn't fail. If I failed, it was bankruptcy. It was we're going down.
Yeah.
And I had great team that was with me, and everybody got paid really well. Yeah, and it's like, wow, okay. So I'm like, man, maybe I should just say forget it and I'll go do something else. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a step back or 2 or 10. All right. And I go over to Walmart one day, and I'm not a big Walmart guy, but it was pouring cats and dogs. And we're from California. I mean, the one day every year.
Right,
rains,
exactly.
Right? You guys back in North Carolina, it's like, we call that Thursday.
Right.
Yeah. For us, it was like one of your good old-fashioned southern thunderstorms.
Right.
Where it's coming down in buckets. You can't see, Bob in front of you 2 feet. And I'm driving in the parking lot, and there's this old cooter out there. He's probably 75, 80 years old. Got his yellow slicker on, and he's pushing shopping carts.
I don't want to be that.
I'm like, damn. And I'm just looking at this guy going, man. And he's, all of probably 5'5", and he's hobbling. I'm like, oh. And sure enough, I go park, and I go inside, and he's just pushing the carts inside, and he walks up, he goes, hello, sir. And he hands me a cart, welcome to Walmart. And I went, I just looked at him and said, God bless you, man.
Yeah.
And I vowed that I would never be that guy. And I would vow that every guy that I talked to in our industry, I would say, don't be that guy.
Yeah.
You don't have to be that guy.
What was it in the business at that point in time, right? I know Cecil gave you the manual. What was it? Was it that the shop was struggling financially? Was it that the shop had problems? What was it that you were going through?
We were at the point, that's a great question. We were at the point where where the owner, business owner, who was also the chef, cook, and bottle washer, or the celebrity, everything revolves around him or her.
Yeah.
They're the hub. And what Cecil told me is, if you're going to survive, it can't be about you.
Yeah.
You have to create this team. And he says, and what he really kicked me with, this. You've taught this. You've preached this. Why do you think you're better than everybody else?
Oh, man.
And I was like, oh, why do you think you're better than everybody else?
Yeah.
Another good friend of mine, Greg Bunch, he looks at me and he goes, are you going to be okay if it's not your name on the door?
Right.
I was like, oh, ouch. Okay, turn to the right, kick me again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, all right. And since then, it's been like, all right. Yeah, you're right. So it does not have to be about me.
What was the first step in solving that, though?
Trust. Letting people bang their shins and bloody their toes a little bit.
Yeah.
Letting them fail.
Let them make the mistake.
Knowing that you didn't have the money to let them fail.
Right.
And it's like, oh. But now I've got a team that is well represented. One of my couple of my greatest moments. First woman to ever be named Ratchet and Wrench's Executive of the Year was my COO.
Really?
Yeah, Melissa, back in 2019, I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah, we had just got that store opened, and I made her our COO. I said, hey, I need this. Basically, I'm stepping back, let you line it up, get it done. She also was our estimator. At that time in the industry, hardly anybody had what was called an estimator.
Right. Because we figured out, I think it was another Cecil thing, but it was kind of a epiphany moment. Great service advisors suck when they're called to be parts people. Right.
And great parts people, oh my gosh, they're awesome, but they're terrible salespeople.
Yeah. Yeah,
now,
for sure.
Can they suck it up and do a great job? Yeah, they can, but only for a period of time, because then their lifeblood starts to ebb out of them.
Right. And I mean, it's a tough job to do both.
And we try and we'll dig into deep into what we're asking some of our service advisors to do. We want these folks to do $1.5 million, $1.6 million.
Yeah.
And then we wonder, well, why didn't you get that estimate written out? That car was here at 8 o'clock this morning. Mrs. Jones wants her brake job. He hasn't had lunch. He hasn't been to the bathroom. He's got 3 other people. The phones have been ringing off the hook. And he had to order all the parts. He had to sit on the phone with a stupid warranty company. Oh, and he had to call the Honda dealer and wait for them to pick up the phone to get a stupid part that we couldn't get from the local jobber. What? And we want him to do what?
Yeah, and I've talked to David about that before, and like, hey, am I asking too much of my service advisors?
Yes,
because we're pushing them that hard, right? And we expect them to provide that service. And one of the things that I've seen is when we push them that hard, that reflects in how they act with the client. That reflects in the experience the client gets. So tell us a little bit about this estimator position. I mean, what is it that they do, and how do you find somebody like that?
Let me ask you guys a question. Y'all like basketball?
I don't. This dude.
What was Phil Jackson known for? The triangle offense, right? Yeah. So we looked at it in the triangle offense. 2 service advisors versus 1 estimator versus the shop, where it's all a circle. Everything works in a circle, but the service advisors are salespeople.
Okay.
First thing you have to do is understand that person is there to do one thing, that's to solve customers' problems.
Okay.
That means they're going to sell them something, and they're going to sell them to your shop.
Yeah.
They're going to sell solutions to the customers' problems. They're not going to, if they're going to be top line superstar service advisors, which we all want them to be, they're probably not going to be good parts people if you hire the right people. And I know a lot of people's heads has probably snapped, but stand back and look at it, and really look at it hard. What are you expecting them to do? Old Sean Connery line from The Untouchables. What are you prepared to do?
Right.
You don't bring a knife to a gunfight. What do we want them to do? What we decided, we found, is our COO, Melissa, she loved to write work orders. I mean, and that's how her and I got together and started. I'm a monkey flinging poo against the wall. I mean, I'm going as fast as I can. Give me 10 work orders. I'll get them done, get them sold, get them out, go boom, done. I'll call 10 people. Give me 20 minutes. I've got them sold. We're done. We're good.
Right.
She would actually write all the work orders so I could look at it. Okay. Okay. Massage the number for about 2 seconds. Hello, Mrs. Jones. This is Bill from Adams Auto Works. How you doing?
Right.
We're done.
Yeah.
Click the button. Melissa will order all the parts. Magically, the parts show up in an hour. The mechanic goes and gets the jobs done. I'm already down the road selling the next set of jobs. And that's where we kind of figured out, okay. So then when we moved into the big store and Cecil got done kicking me, I hired 2 top-notch salespeople, service advisors. We turned one. This is another great story. She was my CSR, my customer service representative.
Okay.
We got her from a grocery store because everybody loved her in our town. Everybody knew her. Everybody loved Becky. She's also a Ratchet and Wrench Service Advisor of the Year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. First woman to be Service Advisor of the Year.
Wow.
I think she's the only one that's been that. She only did $1.9 million last year.
Holy cow.
Yeah. In the triangle offense. But Becky, she was the produce manager at the local grocery store until she got to women of a certain age in that industry. They just decided to wipe out the whole department and go get a bunch of 18-year-olds and start over.
Right.
And she started there at 18. She was not 18, and 20 year in her career, and found out through a friend that she needed a job. And I said, "Well, come on." She said, "Well, I don't know anything about cars." I said, "Perfect."
Yeah.
I said, "You know people?" She goes, "Yeah." Okay. Started off as a CSR for a couple of years. She'd answer the phones for me. I taught her how to answer phones, and it was just beautiful. We opened up the new store. I brought her into the office, and I said, "Hey, we're going through a lot of stress, a lot of times." I said, "I got good and bad news." And she goes, "Okay." I said, "Now, you've been through this before." And she's like, "Oh, no." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm eliminating your job. I'm sorry." She said, "Is that the good news or bad news?" And I said, "Well, that's the bad news." She goes, "Okay, what's the good news?" I said, "I'm making you a service advisor." Yeah. "You're going to make me do what you do?" I went, "Uh-huh." "I don't know how to do that." I said, "Yeah, you do."
Right.
"Yeah, you do." "Yeah, you do." First commission check she got. And she was always paid well.
Right.
But now she's, I don't know what she did, probably 40 or 50 grand that week.
Right.
And we had a pretty robust plan for our folks. It was a very good paycheck. And I handed it to her. Normally it comes in the mail, but she'd never seen this. So I handed it to her. I said, "Hey," I said, "who said you can't do it?"
Yeah.
And she looked at it, and she's about all of 4'9". She looks like Sally Field from The Flying Nun, if you could picture that. She looks up at me, I see little tears start to come up in her eye, and her hands start to shake. And she says, "I've never had this much money in my hand at any one time in my life."
Oh, wow.
Single mom, mother of 2.
Yeah.
Changed her life. Just changed her whole family tree.
Yeah.
And now, she's poster child for a lot of other women that are in the industry now. But the triangle offense has allowed her to do what she does, which is talk to people, solve the problem. Mom comes in with a problem. Hey, I got to get my car done, blah, blah, blah. Becky will take care of them. Great. Car will go through the shop. DVI comes through. The estimator team picks it up, writes it up, clicks the button, and through the magic of our SMS system, Becky sees it, looks at it, might massage a number or two, calls the customer, done. Clicks the button again, parts magically show up in about an hour, and the car gets finished.
Right.
That's the triangle offense. So we're not waiting till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Everybody gets to go potty. Everybody gets to have lunch.
Are you hiring parts people for the estimator position? Who are you hiring for that position?
People that can do puzzles.
Okay.
People that are linear thinkers. I like service advisors. I like ex-mechanics in that job too, because, well, I want to get this part and that part. Great. Just get them. Here's your, as long as you give me 62% GP, I don't care what you do. Boop it out.
Right.
And okay. So, but what we've had go through that position is folks that really love to put together the estimates. They like to put them together, and that's their strength. That's their strong point. And boom, 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 they get it done. They know where to get their parts. They know who to go to. They know what vendor they use. They know what fluids they need to get. Because the advisor, we see a lot of this with athletics. You hear this, the fast twitch, especially the football players, fast twitch muscles. I started studying our sales team and how many times they would do the fast twitch when the phone would ring, or the fast twitch when something would come up on their screen. Somebody that's writing a work order, they can't have fast twitch. They need to have long twitch. They need to have the slow, being able to put it together methodically, systematically, with a purpose to get to the end. Give the customer the best job for the best amount of money so everybody wins. Get the right labor on the tag from the right source. All that fun stuff. The estimator puts it together. If he has a question, I don't have a service advisor. How many folks out there have seen the service advisor run out in the shop, phones are ringing, interrupt a mechanic, I need to know if it's four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
I want to throw freaking rocks. I mean, or is it a 17-inch wheel? Or Ford brakes. Is it a 7-lug or a 6-lug? You're like, just shoot me in the face.
Right, because it kills a ton of time. It just throws the whole process off.
My gosh, yeah. And we're wondering why we can't get stuff done.
Yeah.
We're wondering why we're only doing, an hour and a half a car instead of 3 hours a car. We're wondering why our AROs are $300 instead of at $1,000.
Right.
It's that. Let your salespeople sell. Turn them loose. And yes, there's an expense. That estimator costs as much as the service advisor if you're doing it right.
Okay.
But they might not be. They might be a retired service advisor, and folks out there, I know you've all seen this, but sometimes the mechanics, when they get up to my age with a few gray hairs or no hair, their body may not work so well anymore, but they know everything.
Right.
But they suck as salespeople. They always have, and they always will.
Yeah.
And there's very few mechanics that really transition to be good service writers. It's a different set. The person that's a good estimator is a lot like a good mechanic. They're plotters. They think. They're linear. They're more of an engineer mind.
Right.
So that's kind of the secret to our success, and we've taught that with anytime you get a store of volume, and I say anything above $1.5 million, if you go to that system, it works. Whether it's one advisor versus one estimator, and then when you hit that $2 million mark, you can go to 2 advisors with 1 estimator. When you hit about $3.5, $4 million, you need 2 and 2.
Okay.
Or 3 and 2. But it's a formula, and it really works.
So
Into the mic.
Who dispatches in your shop then?
It depends. We have shops. We got one shop that's got 14 people, and we got 2 shops that have between 3 and 5 people, depending on what we got going on.
Okay.
The smaller shops, we still run the estimator model as much as we can.
Okay.
And with the beauty of remote SMSs, I could be sitting in my house 50 miles away from one of my stores. I see that a car got checked out. The DVI's done. I see that the manager's on the phone talking to 2 people, and I'll send him a Slack message saying, "You want me to write that up for you?"
Right.
Yes. Okay, great. About 2 minutes later, send it back to him. There you go. He's now selling that thing.
Right.
Instead of wondering, and in the back of their mind, as a salesperson, in the back of your mind, if you've always got pressure in the back of your mind that you've got to get something else done that's going to take you away from selling,
you become distracted.
You're never going to win. You're never going to win. So it's the beauty, and I'm seeing guys that are really breaking out of I've got a really cool shop that's really a job model to having a really good business where you can step aside from it and watch it run.
Right.
Yeah, you can. I've seen guys beat the crap out of their service supervisors. We're not getting the GP. We're not getting this. We're not getting that. They have no chance to.
Right.
You wonder why service supervisors go, hey, you know what? I'm done. Or, I'm going to go to the dealer. Or, you know what? I'm going to go work for so-and-so because they have no chance to win. And we grind them up. We don't need to.
Yeah,
There is another way to do it. Now, do you have to get, and this goes back to what Cecil and Greg taught me, is get out of your own way as the owner and let them run.
Okay.
Let those people run, because once you get to that certain level, you start to get the inertia. And we've all heard the flywheel stuff about, hey, as soon as you get the flywheel moving, keep it going. The hardest thing to start is to stop trained.
So your estimator then orders your parts, right? They make the estimate.
Mm-hmm. Estimator will normally write up the work orders off the DVI. They'll be the one that will interface with the technician most of the time if they have a question on parts. Now, when it comes back to dispatching, we use a Protractor, our shop management system. We've customized it to where we flag each car. The technician might have 5 cars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have flags to tell the technician when the parts are going to show up, or if the parts are there, car's ready to go, because no car comes in the shop unless the parts are all sitting there.
Right.
We do not ever let a car sit. And I know some guys are like, well, I get BMW, don't care. I got Mercedes, don't care.
It goes out. It absolutely goes out.
Get it the flip off the rack. I don't care. It's a Sprinter van, put the wheels on.
Yeah.
Drag it outside with a forklift. Don't care.
Whatever you got to do. It's got to go back outside.
Yeah, and you got to, because we sell one thing. We sell time.
Yeah.
We sell time. So we got to keep those racks turning and burning. So the estimator, they'll get the parts there. They'll get the parts coming. Our system, we do have, because we have 7 techs in our big shop, we have a shop manager, and his job is to play 3D Tetris or 3D chess. And he's staying 2-3 steps ahead of each technician, knowing what's there, what's coming in, what's not coming in, parts delays.
So that's kind of the dispatch role in the big shop then.
He handles the dispatch role, where the smaller stores, which is your traditional shops, the store manager will do that, or the technicians, they'll know, okay, I've got 12 cars coming in today. He's got 6, I've got 6. They're all lined out 1 through 6. We know that car needs to be done today, that car needs to be done tomorrow. It's process procedure. And it all comes back to the ballet of who's selling it, when are the parts showing up, when do we get the car in the air, communicate in the triangle offense between the sales, the shop, and the estimator or manager. And it works with a small store, it works with a big store, it works with the monster stores, it works with remote service advisors, it works with on-site service advisors. I got a buddy of mine, Dave Tools Garage, a lot of people know him. We both kind of kicked around this idea because we both have 3 stores, we're both in the Bay Area. And he's got a guy phenomenal estimator. Oh my God. Kicks probably the best I've ever seen.
Right.
He does it in his bunny slippers sitting in his house for all 3 of his shops.
That's pretty cool. David, maybe you should do that job.
It's a phenomenal position that a lot of the industry is just now. I've shared it with a bunch of shops, and it's starting to catch on some traction because guys that are doing it are like, oh, why didn't we think of this? It's like, it was for us, it was out of necessity. And we kind of figured out, you really love doing that. I really love doing this. I really am not good at that, even though I'm lying to myself saying I'm a good parts person. I'm not. I suck.
Yeah. Well, so when we talked about money a little bit, when you look at the percentages, how does this play out on paper, right? Because a lot of, some consultants say, well, you shouldn't have over 10% in fixed employee cost, or, how does that play into this? What are you seeing?
That's probably a whole nother podcast.
Okay.
But the numbers are the numbers, and accounting is the language of business. It doesn't lie. It's black and white. So, if you want to keep it between 15 and 20% for your sales side, that needs to include your sales team, including your estimator.
Okay, so you're including it in that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Did you say 15 to 20% for your sales team?
Sales team, right.
Okay.
For And that, I guess that also includes our management staff too. So that's all on top of that. So
15 to 20% for your estimator, sales team, manager, 20 to 25 on techs, and then 20 for parts.
Yeah, that's where you have that money. However you want to play it. If you want to morph skill sets into the best, who's got the best person for that job. Somebody might be a 6-figure parts person because they make it rain. Okay, they make it so instead of you're making 55 gross profit, you're making 63% gross profit. That's real money.
Yeah.
We only eat gross profit, right? It's not a matter of their top line revenue. It's a matter of we eat gross profit.
So you're relying on them driving down your cost of parts to 15?
No.
12?
No. Well, I wish, but no. Golly, that'd be awesome.
Under 20?
Yeah, 20 to 25 is where we always normally see it. And that includes tires and batteries. But
okay, but so now this is 20 to 25. Okay, but now you're sitting on 60% of your GPs eaten up.
No, because we're traditionally running right around between 58 and 63%, depending on the month in the store.
Well, I understand that, but I'm saying that's 58 to 60% after parts and technician. Are you including your
No, you are correct. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So it comes out at this point,
sales staff and management are below
40,
the line. Yeah.
You're at 40-ish% left over. And traditionally, it's 30% for overhead. Are you at 20%, 25% overhead?
25 to 30. It really is. The numbers don't lie. It just depends on what bucket you put them in.
And so at the end of the day, then you're easing up everybody's, or you are specializing their duties in order to drive that top line number.
Yep.
And then eventually, obviously 10% of 4 million is better than 10% of a million.
Yep.
And no handling on your part where you're absent.
I can sit here and do a podcast with you guys.
Well, I mean,
you can sit here and do a podcast and not do any.
Yeah, because look at us.
Yeah,
we're not gonna.
You could be flat broke and do podcasts.
I've done that. Yeah, but
I talked to Mike Allen the other day, and that was one of the things that we talked about. Is he said, "Look, I want to build wealth for my family, but I also want to be able to have a life, right? Like I don't want to be in the shop every day. I don't want to be in that management position every day. I'm looking for ways and tools to be able to build that." So it kind of sounds like what you're doing here.
It is,
and that was one of the things Mike said. Is he's like, I'm willing to take less net to put the good people in place that allow me to be as.
Yeah, all that works though once you get to a certain top line revenue number.
Yeah. There's a breakthrough part.
Yeah, there's a threshold because you get underneath that number. I don't care what you think you've contrived. Like 750,000, like you were saying, 750,000 in top line revenue. Like you're not hiring. That's you.
Yeah.
You are the estimator / salesperson / CSR /
toilet
cleaner.
Chef
it has to be you. Yeah. You can't make that work. Now you get to 2 million and the numbers.
You get to 1.2, and if you do the math, you do 1.2. You can hire that next 6-figure person. That if you hire the right person and you get them the right
6-figure,
they can do it. The numbers work.
Look at tight.
It is tight.
It's tight, but you at this point now you are really watching those expenses because that overhead can get ugly if you're sitting on $75,000 Hunter machine payments and I'm making fun of you and the lease is a little too high. Well, I'm saying all that work.
Yeah, no,
you can pay for that at 4 million. It's a little harder when you're at 1.2 and you're like,
my small stores don't have $70,000.
Yeah, that's
my $4 million store has a brand new one we just put in the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, we flush mounted that boy. It's a $90,000 machine. Guess what? It's going to be paid for in about 6 months.
Right. Because you got the volume to do it. Now, the 1 point where I'm saying at 1.2, it's go back to Star Trek. It's when you go to warp drive. It's a whole different animal.
We talk about the flywheel. It's when that inertia finally gets going.
Yeah.
But yeah, before that, it used to be the $700,000 shop. Now I think it's a $1.2 million shop where you finally can break through, hire that next person that can almost take the place of you as an owner or as the top line person, where you can start looking to how do we get this thing to 2? Because up until that point, it's a slug. It's a 10 to 12 hour a day freaking slug. You are in the middle of it.
Oh, no. I have people tell me the first million's easy. It's that 1 million to 2 million that's really hard. And I've had several people tell me this. It's absurd, of course. They're idiots. But the problem,
we love you guys.
The problem I would say is to get from that 1 to 2, every single person I've ever met that can't get to that 2 million has the entire shop revolve around that.
They're the hub.
They're the hub. Every single one of them.
That's what I'm saying. You got to take that 6-figure, and I'm just using a number for California.
Yeah.
That's even a low number for California where I'm at.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You have to be able to. You have to hire that quality of a person and say, "Hey, you're here to be the hub. You're here to." In a couple of my stores, I've got chef, cook, bottle washer managers that are absolutely freaking world changers.
Yeah.
But we also support the crap out of them with our 2 executives. And we also watch, we have systems in place. We have software in place. We're completely paperless across all of our platforms. There's no paper. Okay. We're watching constantly. We're even moving to a different platform that we won't mention on this podcast because somebody will get butthurt. But to be fully cloud-based where we can see stuff even faster and in more of a real time.
Yeah.
That'll even help us out and smooth the estimating process out even more. If we get another 10, 15% efficiency, everything we have now, it's beautiful where, use a Trump, it's beautiful. Only thing we're paying for right now is parts.
Yeah.
The buildings are paid for. The technicians are paid for. Insurance is paid for. Lights are paid for. Everything's paid for.
Yeah.
So now all we got to pay for is the parts. Go hang them. You get to that spot where you can start just adding gas to it, adding efficiencies. And you're like, oh, now I see how Gossel does it. Now I see how some of these guys do it.
So what are you doing? And I completely understand where you're coming from, but the complexity and the intricacy of the vehicle, is it going to force you, or are you considering that it might force you to slow down your entire process?
No.
Are you dismissing it, or you haven't considered it, or you've considered it and said, nah, it'll be fine?
I consider it every day. It scares me to bring 5 of my technicians here to Ogden, Utah at the cost of thousands of dollars.
So they're going to come in here, and the guy is going to stand up in front and say, I don't care if you're even doing an oil change, because if you have to drop that bottom pan, you might have to do an ADAS calibration.
Yep.
That means that every vehicle that comes in that you used to account for, again, you just said, I got to turn that bay because we sell time. Okay. So now that 30 minutes is now going to be 35 minutes because I got to take 5 minutes and read through SI. Every single car.
Yep.
Every single time.
Yep.
How are you mitigating that?
Great question. I want to say with fear and loathing, but fear and trepidation. It's how do we stay ahead of it, knowing that there's no such thing as an oil change anymore. There's no such thing as a quick wheel alignment anymore.
Yeah, right.
My 24-year-old son is our number 1 alignment guy. He's also our best ADAS guy, and he's been to 1 ADAS hunter class. How did he do it? Bubba Cooter on YouTube, figuring the crap out.
Yeah.
We also have given him enough space. And I've got guys from 20 all the way to 65 years old working on cars. I got 14 mechanics. Mm-hmm. We're all paperless. Everybody's all technologically geeked up. And some guys are slow like me when it comes to tech. Some guys are awesome. But being able to leverage technology, being able to go, where do we go to find the answers to help us improve our efficiencies? That's where we have to stay up on our training. If we're not training, if we're not staying ahead of it, if we're not looking down the road. Also, I think it also comes from leadership and from owners and from managers, from consultants. You can't be afraid of the future because the clock doesn't stop. It's tick, 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 tick.
So it's just, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm entirely incompetent about just about everything. But I hear that information, okay, the information that these guys are going to disseminate. And in my estimation, it stops being about necessarily efficiency. It stops being, not that you are entirely inefficient, but I'm no longer counting minutes. I'm looking at how much revenue can I get out of each vehicle, and realistically, how many vehicles are we having to juggle? Mm-hmm. It becomes, the model shifts a little bit. I'm adjusting that way because I think that's the only, in my mind, the model that you're running has been wildly successful for you and a lot of shops, right? Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, this influx of technology that is critical to safety, just something like battery EVs, right? They don't double check and make sure that thing's powered down. Now you've killed somebody, right? Or the thing catches on fire and everything goes up in flames. And it's because, well, I only had 15 minutes to do that inspection. It's because it's 15 minutes or I start to lose money. Is it a shift in the way we do things on a daily basis, or are you looking at it from that aspect, or are you like, well, I still need to maintain efficiency in the amount of time I can allot for A, B, and C, but I'm going to shift how I charge? Like, how are you approaching that?
You just hit it. You have to look at it from a different level of abstraction. You have to, and this comes back to ownership. If you're down in the weeds, if you're down in the trees, you're going to run into one. You have to get above the trees. You have to, and just what you're doing, you're taking a general's look at it. You're looking at the whole battlefield. You have to know that you're going to have some folks that are going to be doing relatively quick services and stuff that's going to be, your bread and butter. Great. You know what that's going to make you. You also know that you've got a bunch of check engine lights coming out for random different issues. Okay. Is your, I don't know if it's going to say an amount, but we won't. Your high-end A super tech big brain dude, your 12-pound brain, most expensive guy in the shop, least efficient guy in the shop. It's what it is. They have to be able to balance each other out. If you can build a shop that can allow for that to happen and allow for growth too, some of our younger guys that are more tech savvy are even helping some of the big brain dudes change the way they think. And it's a different level of abstraction. It's a yes and. We also have to not remember that if you're selling a cheap oil changer, you're selling a cheap alignment, fine, it's marketing. That's not business. That's a marketing cost.
Right.
Your effective labor rate has to be X. Your gross profit has to be Y. Otherwise, you're going to make Z, which is zero. Yeah. You have to be able to balance that out. And if you're down in the weeds as an owner, you're going to wake up one day, there's nothing in your bank account, and people are calling you looking for money. You got to get above it. I've got guys in the Bay Area now, independent shops charging $300 an hour. They have to, because we're paying people to live there.
Yeah, San Francisco's a whole different world.
But if I move it back to North Carolina, maybe they're charging $2. Because the effective labor rate, when you balance out that $39 oil change, when you balance out the discount alignment, the effective labor rate's a number that I don't see a lot of guys looking at.
Where you're mixing, though, you're mixing talent in differing pay scales.
Yes.
I'm looking at it from, I'm not mixing pay scales. I want 3, 4, 5 big brain guys.
Wow. Okay. In the same shop.
In the same shop.
Most dealerships with 60 guys don't have 5 guys that do that.
I steal the ones from each dealership, and
they should be the premier, technologically super savvy. Maybe you're charging $350, $400 an hour.
Okay, you would think that, but here's the problem. They equate what I do and the shop. I'm not you, but the shops that carry 4 lubies and 1 guy that can do the timing belt, they think that we are the same, and we are not.
We're not.
Okay. So I come at them and go, hey, I'm $350 an hour. Mm-hmm. It's a $750 charge, diag charge for me to even start touching your car. Something like ADAS. Perfect example. The way I charge for ADAS is each individual system component is calibrated separately and has its own charge. Own time, own charge. That's just the way it is. We'll do blind spot, and depending on service information, because we check, I might have to do blind spot and then the front radar. And I just needed the front radar. It's like it doesn't matter. If this says start with blind and then do radar, I can't separate them. So you're paying for two services, not just one. They're intertwining. Whatever. So if I'm going to have 3 or 4, now it becomes how do I make the math work? Mm-hmm. Well, I set a fixed cost on my technicians. So I'm going to pay them X, Y, and Z, and that dollar amount is going to be fixed.
Correct.
And now rather than saying I'm going to have this many Lubies and this many B guys and this many A guys and this many C guys, now I'm looking at I've got to bring in this many C-level cars, this many B-level repairs, and this many A-level problems every week, every month for me to spread the workload out to be able to get X amount of revenue in at this percentage to make my numbers work.
And again, you are creating a beautiful mosaic of a complex shop that I have one of those. And I have my smaller shops, which would be your traditional chef, cook, bottle washer shop, or your 3 to 5 person shop. B guy, you might have a C guy and a manager and maybe a parts person. That's your traditional shop in America. What you're describing, if you're having 4 brain surgeons, even if you look, and I try and steal genius everywhere I can find it. I have a couple of really good folks that I become friends with that are top-end surgeons and run top-end surgical centers in the San Francisco Bay Area. I had a knee replaced about 6 years ago. And I'm an efficiency guy, I'm a systems guy, and I'm going in with a busted knee. This guy actually designed the knee that's in my body right now.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, but that wasn't the thing. Out of this whole deal, it was a $250,000 knee. I got to see the actual cost they charged my insurance. He spent 15 minutes with me.
Yeah.
I know he made probably $150.
Right.
He didn't have LVNs. He didn't have anything below a seasoned RN. And when you walked into his office, you felt, smelt, and could taste how you are going to be treated, which is Nordstrom level above.
Yeah.
And, okay, we're going to need to get you signed up because now we know exactly what we're going to do. And all the prep work is leading up to the 15 minutes that brain surgeon spends with you.
Yeah.
And he comes in, you're half doped up, he's looking at you. You've already spent 30 seconds with him telling you he's going to get a new knee. He's writing on your knee, going to cut here, going to cut there. He's looking at you. Okay, great. He's literally in you for 15 minutes. He's cut, chop, boom, bang, done.
He's out. Yeah.
I remember I was sitting in the recovery room, and I'd just woken up. And I look up in dark room. I look down. It's like, I got a catheter in me. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. And my legs all, they got the big thingy on it. Not a cast, but the big, what do they call it, the wrap on it. And lady walks in. She knew that I'd woke up. Dark room. So I knew they had to have a camera in there. She knew I woke up. She looks at me. She goes, "How are you doing, Mr. Adams?" And I'm still half doped. And I went, She walks over and she moves me at least 2 to 3 millimeters. And I went, oh. She goes, "Better now?" And I looked at her. I said, "How did you know to do that?" She goes, "That's my job."
Yeah.
I went, I'll never forget that.
Right.
3 millimeters.
Right.
She knew that.
Yeah.
About the brain surgeon.
Yeah.
She was the people that handle the CSRs for them.
So you're talking to these other shops. Here's my concern.
Mm-hmm.
Shop owner is listening to this, and he's sitting at $600,000, $700,000, and he's going, "I'm going to I'm going to flood the market with cheaper oil change and alignments, bring a bunch of cars in there. I'm going to do the whole thing and try to build a relationship, and maybe they'll sit down and do the whole. I think it takes 6 visits before we understand each other, and I believe they can do that whole thing.
Yeah.
And good, bad, or indifferent. But my concern is that if they are now starting on a journey that's proven to be very successful, they're now starting on a journey to try to emulate what you had in in a couple of your shops there, where you have a mix of C, B, A, and you're trying to
break out.
You're trying to keep the momentum moving. You're trying to keep those bays producing. Revenue's got to come in and out every single day. The car's got to go. They're trying to build that over the next year, 2 years, 3 years. They're trying to build that model. Now you are well established and at least have the revenue that, you know what, if tomorrow all of a sudden I've got to shift and I got to bring in 2 more A-level guys in each one of those 2 stores, you can afford it. You can market for it. You're the 600-pound gorilla in the room. You can absolutely do that in your market tomorrow. You can make the shift. Those guys will be starting the momentum towards that, trying to get to that 1.2, right? And all of a sudden, they hit that brick wall where, oh crap, like I just caused an accident because that ADAS system went haywire. Well, why did you not check? Well, it was just an oil change. It's like, hold on now. Well, that year, make, and model, it was here for $24.97 oil change,
right,
for a full synthetic. And you're like, yeah, I understand that, but service information, I understand, but I only pay 0.3 to my flat rate tech to do that oil change.
Why are you paying your flat rate tech? That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But
we get Troy Kaplan in here to talk about that.
Are we doing a disservice to push that model and say that model is the way? Or I don't have the right answer here. I'm just trying to. I'm questioning somebody I feel smarter than I am.
It's okay. We all do. We get behind a mic, we get really smart.
How do you view that shift? How are you specifically for other shops? Because I think you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I
haven't been fine. I've been broke. I've been that guy.
No, I understand that, but you at this point have a proven model. Now you like if you were talking about going to other parts of the country looking to buy shops.
Oh yeah.
You buy a shop in North Carolina, you have a model that you're going to put in.
Yep. Yeah.
And it may not necessarily be I'm going to have 3 or 4 A-level techs and they're all going to get paid a base salary, and you have a specific model that requires you to bring in so many cars. Oil changes, they only take so much time, this, that, and the other. And all of a sudden, this wave of technology, because again, it's not even we're switching from carburetor to fuel injection. We are
I was going to go there. Yeah.
Propulsion entirely. Yeah. So now I'm not an electrical guy. I'm sorry. That's like saying I'm not an engines guy and you work on engines. Like that doesn't make any sense. The electricity is what moves the car.
Yep.
So everybody has to be an electrical guy now. But you didn't bring electrical guys. That you just bought this shop and you put in a C, B, A. Your A is pretty good with electrical. B won't touch it. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're not hanging parts anymore.
Nope.
The brakes don't need to be done, but every 100,000 they need to be checked every 100,000 or whatever, right? You may have to do a fluid here or there. So C guy's gone because there's no lube anything now. There's a few fluids you have to check and maybe service, but that's it. There's going to be a fancy machine that'll do it for you. So the B guy is teetering whether he needs to even be there. We need the A, but the A all of a sudden has to be able to do EEPROM work or whatever. So, I mean, what do you tell those guys? Scale up as fast as you can because it's coming and you need to be ready? Or...
that's a great question. Again, we're back looking at being in the trees or being above them.
Sure.
You got to know what type of shop you're going to run. You talk about going back to North Carolina. I'm going to say Brandon Harrell.
Yep.
Brandon was a parts guy.
Yeah.
Brandon inadvertently fell into buying a bunch of stores. Brandon and I are good friends.
Yeah.
He's at 10?
Super successful. Super successful.
Brandon has a freaking model. Guess what? His model looks a lot like mine. very similar. He understands how many cars he has to get and what the mix is. So he knows that he can be successful. And it can be a 5 or 6 person shop. It could be a 20 person shop. How you make that, is it cookie cutter? No. You also have to be able to play to your strengths. If you don't have an A-Tech, then you got to really be smart as an owner and know that what you're not going to touch.
Yeah.
I had a shop that we bought. We bought it in COVID. Their A-Tech, and when COVID hit, when they were basically told to go home, he said, you know what? I'm going to get out of this. I'm moving out of the PRC. I'm moving down to Louisiana. I'm going to go get me a shrimp boat and fix Mercedes. So he's working at Mercedes-Benz of New Orleans, making buku 6-figure dollars.
Yeah.
Has himself a beautiful boat. And that shop was left with a really solid B-Tech who's here, going to be training, going through, because in the last year and a half, guess what he's had to learn is I've been force feeding him with a fire hose.
Yeah.
And he's smart, wants to do it.
Yeah.
Great. And my thing is, I'll never fault you for making a mistake. Don't ever let it out of the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
That's my
100%.
problem. I'm the owner.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm paying you 3/10 of an hour to go do the check engine light, get it diagnosed, or I'm paying you 3/10 of an hour, that's the owner's fault.
Yeah.
That's where you go back to a Cecil, or you go back to an ATI, whoever your coach is, holding you accountable not to be a stupid idiot.
Yeah.
It's the owner's fault. It's always the owner's fault because we allowed that crap to happen.
Yeah.
Conversely, a lot of us, they get into that $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 shop. They get to that spot. Okay, I made $100,000 last year. Cool. Now again, we're back to Sean Connery. What are you prepared to do?
Yeah.
Do you want a job or do you want a business? Because you now have to make a decision. Are you going to invest in the technology?
Yeah.
Or are you going to accept that? We're not fixing carburetors anymore. We're on fuel injection. Or, I guess this disc brake thingy's here to stay.
Yeah.
Or, I guess that computer thingy in the car, all right. I guess that MC solenoid, I guess we got to figure out how to make that work. What's that? The Cadillac converter? What?
Yeah.
What's that thing? We've gone through different evolutions. We're going through a huge evolution now that's also going to probably change the industry again.
Yeah.
We had COVID that took out 20-25% of the shops in the country. We're seeing consolidation. We're seeing technology. We're going to
lose really?
30.
20-25%? Where'd you get that number? That can't be right. Is it?
I think it's even worse.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't think we lost anybody around us, but
Well, no, I don't think we lost. I think a lot of shops lost employees because they shut down. We didn't. We stayed open, but I think a lot of shops stayed, but they opened back up.
I want to say it's a
AAA
ramping number, but
there was a lot of consolidation. A lot of consolidation,
especially in collision. Collision's a whole
different animal now.
Yeah.
Boom, overnight.
Yeah.
And what was it? Rahm Emanuel, don't let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not my favorite type of dude, but reality. Get above the trees and look at it.
Yeah.
There's opportunity here. I picked up a shop that never did more than $700,000. The guy was making good money all his life, owned the property. All of a sudden, he's making $400,000.
Yeah.
I need to get out. I look at it and went, okay. We ran our model through it. Here's what it's worth. That's not worth anything. You're right. It's not
business with the property was probably worth $8 billion.
And you know what? Again, back to the ownership.
Yeah.
How can we both succeed here?
Yeah.
Your business isn't worth anything. I'm not going to pay for it.
Yeah.
But you have a piece of property in the middle of the most affluent area in the flipping world.
Yeah.
And they're all driving cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know how to, and I have a model that will work.
Yeah.
So we went in there, we took the same team, and now they're doing $1.2 million.
Nice.
The same team the next year.
Nice.
With just and it's not rocket science. I'm not a sharp guy. I only do one or two things really well. It took Cecil and a couple other good guys to kick the crap out of me, so I'm not the hub.
Yeah.
And if anybody hears this and going, okay, they get one thing. You can't be about you. It's got to be about your
100%. 100%.
Got to be about your team because somebody in that room, if it's two people, somebody's smarter than you are.
Absolutely.
Let them run. Find out, and going back to your thing, if you got 3 or 4 A-Techs, oh my God, I'm thinking $15, $20 million. That's what's popping in my mind because I know what each one of those guys is worth. And like a good surgeon,
You're thinking about how many hours are they turning?
I'm
looking at it.
I'm thinking about how many mouths that they can feed because of all the downstream repairs that have to be done because of what that guy can feed.
Sometimes you don't want that guy. You want the guy that diagnosed it. That's a sensitive repair. I better leave it to that person.
Sensitive repairs have a sensitive guy, but he might not be the big thinker. He may be the guy that likes to sit there with a soldering iron. Yeah. Great. And it comes back to who does what well. And then as the owner, as the marketers, play to that success.
Yeah.
If you got a brain surgeon, well, don't let him fix knees. You know, right. And I look at a B tech is an orthopedic surgeon. And A tech is a brain surgeon.
Yeah.
They're not the same person. They
don't do the same job.
Exactly. They're completely different revenue streams.
Yeah.
Your C person is your GP. We run our shops much like a hospital center. We do appointments in the morning and we do surgery in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And if surgeries need to stay over, we flex. Everybody can do the GP work. Do I want my dollar a technician doing a service? Oh, heck no.
Absolutely not.
And he sucks at it, and he knows he sucks at it. Because he doesn't do it every day.
I let Eric do an alignment one time.
Oh, probably killed you.
It was miserable.
Oh.
It was miserable. Took him 4 hours to do a single alignment.
Because he wants to write that on zero.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
Oh, no. No. Oh, no. He's going to go even deeper and find out, okay. I got to find out that, I got to look at that. No. Cross camber. No. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
The SCI is just not the way. And he'll be digging into the theory of it. Great. No, I'm not it's in the green, back it out guy. I want to solve the customer's problem.
Yeah.
Does it pull? Do you have tire wear?
Yeah.
Now, if we're setting up a Porsche, that's a different animal. I'm charging $600 to do the alignment on the thing.
Yeah.
If I'm doing grandma's Honda, we're going to set the toe, make sure the camber's right, and we're getting it the hell out of the shop.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, back to pricing. My brain surgeon is not being charged at the same rate that I'm charging for the orthopedic guy or the GP guy. But when you put it all together, and it could be a 3-person shop or it could be a 14-person shop, the mix has to work so the numbers come out the same.
Yeah.
Because the numbers are the same no matter if you got a 3-person shop or a 30-person shop. But yes, when the bigger wheels are rolling, when that wheel comes around on a $4 million shop versus a $400,000 shop, those are different numbers.
Yeah.
But once you break through the inertia, once you break through that line where you can start getting that inertia running, and it becomes a business instead of a hobby. You're not running a taco truck. You got a couple taco trucks. You got people working it instead of you being behind there cutting the cilantro. That's where the magic happens. Otherwise, you got a really cool job.
Thank you for listening to the Changing the Industry podcast. If you enjoyed the show, do us a favor and leave us a review on your favorite podcast player. And don't forget to set it to automatically download the latest episode. Our efforts with this podcast, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group wouldn't be possible without the support of our awesome sponsors. So please take a moment, check them out by clicking on the links in the show notes.